You understand
We,
this?
I was talking through it with Sue. Hi. This must be. Hey, Meredith, is that you?
Yes, it is.
Okay. Hi. Hi, Amy.
Hi.
Right here?
Gang's all here.
All right. Let's get this show on the road.
Let me start recording. Hold on a second.
Tell me when you're ready.
I
am not, in fact, so I'm going to turn that around.
Do you want me to be on video?
If you can, that would be great.
Okay, let me be on video. Hold on. I can be on video.
Okay, we are set up.
Okay, I'm going to call us to order at 5:30. We're right on time today. I've got first order of business is public comment. I have no public in the building. Do we have any public on? I see recording is here. I see one other person.
Keegan is with GNAT.
And what is that one in the middle? I can't read it.
That's a recording.
That's the recording. Okay, great. So no public.
Right, Meredith, that's your recording? Oh, sorry, you're muted.
Apologies. Yes, that's mine. That's my note taker. I can try and remove it.
No, it's fine. I didn't know if it was another person in the call.
No, it's just an automatic note taker that I don't know how to turn off.
So you're the reason why RAM prices have quadrupled in the last year.
Yes, it's all me. Blame me. All me.
So seeing no public, we're going to move on to a recommendation to approve the minutes. So I'm looking for a motion to approve the minutes from January 7th meeting.
So moved.
Can I get a second?
Second.
Okay, 2 seconds. Any discussion on those minutes? Everything looked good to everybody, or we need to make any changes?
Looking good.
Okay. All those in favor of approving the minutes?
Aye.
Okay, minutes approved.
Okay. So I just want to start by really kind of acknowledging you as board members. This is usually the time of the year where we take a minute to thank you for your service. And I, for one, really appreciate it. Being a board member is an incredibly complex and important and rewarding job. And, Meredith and Dean, you've been serving in this role for a long time. Amy, you've stepped in, and we've really, really appreciated everything that you've contributed. There's a lot going on right now. Your voice and your leadership matters, and just wanted to thank you. So we do have a certificate for you, Meredith and Amy, that we will get.
That looks gorgeous, Dean. That's
so
fancy.
I also understand that you got a gift certificate to Cabot, so use it for cheese or sour cream or whatever else you as board members enjoy from Cabot. So cheese, I would go with the cheese too, Meredith. That would be my go-to.
Thank you.
Thank you. I like cheese.
So the next two sort of go together. So you guys can talk about how do you want to prep for the annual meeting, and then if there was anybody here from the community, you'd have an opportunity to ask questions or talk about the budget. So I'll sort of turn this section over to you for the three of you to have a conversation, and I'm happy to jump in at any point. So
we've got packets like we do every year.
They just got printed, I think, today.
Beautiful, still warm actually. Beautiful neon yellow this year. The only real difference I see as far as how I would like to present at town meeting is I know that Jen always used the PowerPoint and had the slideshow. And me personally, I don't think I need the PowerPoint. It's not really my style, so I was just going to sort of speak off the cuff and refer to notes. But if anybody has a difference of opinion on that, I'm open to hear it.
I guess I think it'd be helpful to have like a shared, whether it's a document like your bullet points that are notes you're using. You know, I get that like some people like to speak and don't want slides and stuff, but just if we had a shared
So my
document.
plan was this packet is going to go out to everybody. Everyone will have this. I like to use this as my reference because I can tell people go to page 3 and then they can see, you know, exactly what I'm looking at. And then we have consistency. My issue with the PowerPoint is it's really hard for people. I've been in the back when it's the other way around. Sometimes it's really hard to see it. And I don't know that I would prefer that I know what people are looking at so that they have it in the book. So my plan is just to go through it right in the book. We've got the articles in here. Those look good. I don't think we need to change anything there. So
I think, Dean, whatever you want to do, I believe in you.
thanks, Meredith.
I
Um,
think, go
Oh,
ahead.
sorry. So, and then the other thing, Dean, was if there was anything like graphically that you think would like there would be help, you know, just to have a large graphic, not text or anything like that you want help with, let me know.
Okay. I don't think there is. There's really not a whole lot to explain this year. It's pretty straightforward for us. But if I think of anything, and I will certainly reach out.
Yeah, it's really pretty simple this year. I will note, Sue, what page is that additional question that we added in here?
What page? I think it's like question. I want to say it's somewhere around question 14. Like, I don't know. Go.
That's
So
all.
it's 15. So just to anchor for you as board members, we added question 15 because Sue remembered that every year you have somebody in your community that asks this question.
Mm-hmm.
So it is what it is, but this talks about, you know, how much the town of Winhall generates, how much it sends to the ed fund, how much it receives back. So in case that person asks the question again this year, you can tell them that it's included under
That it is in
item
fact
15.
That's a great inclusion. Thank you.
Okay.
Was that Sue?
Yes, it
Yeah.
certainly wasn't Randy.
Okay.
Yes, Sue is the number magic queen. So
we send 14.
Can I call you that, Sue? The number magic?
No, please
queen?
don't. Please don't, Meredith.
he doesn't like to be called the number magic queen, but I can do it. Yes.
Yeah,
This is shocking.
we send $14 million plus to the state.
That's right. This is right off the cash flow sheets this year. So they're not the final numbers. They're the projected numbers. And I would imagine that a lot of this information is also included in your town report in another format. Like
but it's hard to get to it. It's hard to pull it out if you don't know what you're looking at.
Yeah.
And
I can share that cash flow sheet with you, Dean, too.
Yeah, that's incredible. So every year when Stuart gets up and complains about how much we send, he's actually off. I think last year he said it was 7 million. Or
could have been
9 or
different
something
last
like
year.
that. It could have been.
We're not really here to debate that this year.
No, but it's just so it's relevant with what's going on right now at the state level with education reform, because what we're trying to reform is the way that we pay for education. And right now, the way that we pay for education is we're subsidizing the rest of the state for $9 million, give or take.
Mm-hmm.
So when, if people at town meeting want to challenge the idea of reform and say, well, why is it that we need to change anything? Everything seems to be working just fine for us. We're doing okay. They might be more open to the idea that something needs to change when they see how much money we're subsidizing. So I think that's why it's relevant. And I think that's why it's good that it's in here.
I think it's also important to remember that this is not anything that you guys as an individual board have control over. You're not making a decision. Your budget is not making a decision to send money to the ed fund. This is the state formula. This is the state system. And we did try to align the questions in, if you read through the questions, they're aligned so that question comes at the right place in answering how we calculate the tax rate and what ed spending is. So hopefully if people are actually reading through question by question, it will kind of make sense.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Okay.
Other than that, the format, the questions are all very similar.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it is built. So thank you, Sue, for, adding that in your work with this. Yeah, it's not a lot of drama over this budget this year and the questions on the warning.
Yep.
There's
Okay.
a lot of drama coming up.
Oh,
There is.
There's plenty of drama, just not about our budget.
Right. Yeah.
No,
And that might be,
there's-
Article 9, right? People that we talked about that last night at Meadowy's board meeting, is just reminding the moderator, we're working through the articles and keeping the discussion focused on the articles. Anyway, and then Article 9 is where transact any other business, which could be about ed reform, but.
If we're anticipating a lot of conversation during the voting, then it might make sense to have Scott reiterate and move all that to the end. So we can at least get through the articles and then have the conversation.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's
I
exactly
agree.
what they're going to do, I think, at that meeting.
Yeah.
So,
All right.
and if there's any legislators are there, they might say something at the beginning also.
I'm sure the heads of school will want to speak, and
And you might want to wait, and that TNG decided to have the independent schools speak at their article versus ahead of time. So waiting until Article 5 for BBA to say something. It's up to you, but just so that, again, we're able to kind of keep the
flow.
flow and keep the discussion focused on the article that we were talking about.
I'd love to hold them all to the end, but that kind of defeats the purpose, I think, for them. I think they want a chance to speak before the voters vote, but
Well, that's what they would do, is ask the question, then there would be the discussion, and they would be talking, and then you guys would vote. So it would happen sort of at the time that the discussion should happen, but
Yeah.
we were recognizing we needed to tighten that up.
I'm open to that in principle. It's going to in Winhall, we love our traditions, and it's going to be hard to change the flow of the meeting because that's kind of what everyone's expecting.
It doesn't matter
Yeah,
to me. I
it
just
doesn't
think
matter to me either,
remembering that's, that is
Yeah.
where that's discussed.
Anything else on town meeting that we need to go over? Okay. We have a superintendent update today.
Yeah, there's something in here. I think you can see, just because we met last month, you only have February's report in here. I'm really proud of the work we're doing right now, and just seeing some nice responsiveness to the programming we're having in place in our schools. There's not a lot. I guess I would just say, that this has been a long couple of weeks, and I believe that we had a student from Londonderry, Andrew Davis, who passed away unexpectedly on Friday night. He was at Floodbrook School for 9 years and was at Burton Academy in 9th grade, and that's really, really hit the community incredibly hard. It's very, very sad, upsetting, unnerving, and just very, very tough to wrap your head around. His mom was a teacher. Joe is a teacher at Floodbrook, and his brother John is a senior at BBA. So, I know that, I ask that everyone keeps the communities of both Londonderry, Floodbrook, BBA in your hearts, as everybody navigates this incredibly difficult time. You'll see here in the report that there's a public forum, which is not going to be tomorrow night. We're rescheduling that because there's an event at Dorset that a bunch of Dorset families wanted to attend and wanted to be able to attend this. And I think it's even more timely now. We've had a lot of parents reach out, which is what initiated this, parents really saying that they're just struggling with how to talk to their kids about things in the world, how to connect with their kids, how to navigate the challenges that are in our world, for just kind of a lack of better term. And I have heard in the last 4 days a lot of pain and anguish and fear and concern by a lot of parents. So we're going to update the presentation. Our social workers did a terrific job with it, but we'll probably be holding this in February and in mid-March, get a couple weeks after break, and I will make sure you all are aware of it if anybody would like to come. It's going to be an opportunity for just some general recommendations, suggests things to be aware of, and then time for people to come together in a community. And we're I don't have it scheduled yet, but we're hoping to have it at the Manchester Library. So
Thank you.
anyway, I'm happy to answer any questions that you might have about what else is in here in my report.
I wanted to mention that I'm really happy you put the iReady data in the report. And that was something that I think was, considering the context of the last 6 years, I think that the improvement and then the scores on those iReadies were really something that's worth touting. I mean, that's
Thank you.
really phenomenal. Considering the struggles that all schools have had since COVID, and us in particular, that's progress. That's really good. So
Yeah, thank you.
I'm glad you put it in, because you deserve to take a little victory lap on that.
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay. Legislative update. Or is there a work plan?
Yes.
Sorry.
No, the work plans,
Okay.
we're going to update it because this is the last meeting. There's really nothing other than the March meeting, but yeah.
All right. So legislative update. How much time do we have? Everything is moving very quickly in the legislature right now.
Hey, Meredith,
Mm-hmm.
do you mind muting just because it's tapping a little bit loud?
Was
I'm
that?
sorry.
I think that was typing.
That was me. I'm sorry. Hold on. I was trying to tell somebody who is calling me that I'm on a call.
It wasn't bothering me. I was just going to muscle through.
I'm sorry. No, don't muscle through it. It was just, okay.
So just for context about how quickly things are moving, Randy and I prepped this meeting two weeks ago, and the landscape is completely different today than it was when we had this conversation 2 weeks ago. So we are kind of actually starting to speak out a little bit as far as the BRC is concerned. We just sent our own proposal to the legislature last Friday. We also sent a letter out to the community, which I hope that everybody got. It has the potential to be a little bit controversial, but I think we expected that. We're taking a very different approach to the reform than I think most people were expecting. And I think that it's very different than what most other districts and supervisory unions are doing as well. We are prepared to answer the very many questions that I'm sure various stakeholders have. And we have meetings coming up with stakeholders so we can talk about it and improve it, and try to communicate to legislators what it is we need. I'm not going to go into excruciating detail. Jim provided a really excellent summary in the packet, so if you guys want to read through it, you have it. But I will just say that the fundamental issue which is being debated in the House right now, and what a lot of this centers around, is the issue of governance structure, which is SUs and SDs, and how we reform governance structure while maintaining a mechanism for independent school access in the various regions around the state that rely on independent schools for education. So that's the debate. It's how do we reconcile the fact that we have so many different districts in Vermont with so many different operating structures. Our goal, the goal of the reform is to try to consolidate some of these districts to create some operational efficiency. But there is no mechanism in the law right now to consolidate the districts and preserve independent school access. So finding a solution to that problem is the crux of the issue that is being debated right now. There are many proposals, some of which we think have promise and some of which we think are complete non-starters. We are in constant contact with legislators to explain what it is our priorities are and what we need to see. And we've also now given them some of our own ideas, which hopefully will get us back on the right track. Because the last couple of weeks, as I'm sure those of you with your ear to the ground have seen or heard, things degraded rather quickly with the proposal that was currently up. And it went from something that maybe would have been workable to something that we can't really support. So that's been happening pretty quick. But that's where we're at. And I'm happy to answer as many questions as anybody has about any of it in this meeting or otherwise. If people have questions, I'm happy to field emails, phone calls, text messages. I'm pretty much always available. So that's where we're at.
Do we, I guess it just gets so confusing as to what become these sudden shifts, what creates that tipping point for those shifts, especially since, looking at the data, the BRSU has been coming in under budget. We have, anecdotal as well as solid data that, for instance, Burton serving as an independent school is serving the community all the way across the board in terms of special education, in terms of kind of student needs, and is a just real kind of supportive structure and model. And then it seems like that independent school bit just kind of all of a sudden it really flipped hard. Do we know what, do we have any idea what is tipping that, and
So
whose knickers we have to unbunch?
I see it two ways. So one, you have a group of people in the legislature who I would say are, let's just call them moderate in terms of their viewpoint. They understand the challenges of the reform and they want to move something forward that's productive, but the school choice and the independent school access issue is such a sticky widget as far as legislation is concerned. It's such a hard problem to solve when you're talking about writing the language of the law, that I think a lot of them have fatigue and they're just looking for anything that they can move forward with, even if that means that school choice is neglected or even completely actually I shouldn't say school choice, independent school access is what I really should say. They're just fatigued to the point where they just want to move forward with something. And you know what, if the 4% of enrolled students who attend independent schools get hurt by that, so be it. We just got to move forward. I think that's one camp. It's one group of people we have to convince that that's not an acceptable course of action. Then there are the people that just cannot stand the fact that independent schools get public money at all in any capacity for any reason, and they will die on that hill. They will introduce anything that they can that takes away from the ability for independent schools to be part of the public school system. Fortunately, I think there are a lot less people in the second camp than there are in the first camp, which means it's not a hopeless fight. But
yeah.
Sorry, go ahead, Marta.
Yeah, but I also think it's really important to note that at watching kind of independent schools develop over the last couple of years, I think there's been, the BBA model works very well. Some of the independent school model works very well. And then there's also been the rise of small schools that can't really support themselves right now. The small independent school models that don't really function without kind of above state funding. So that's also come to pass. So that's also been on the radar for a lot of people, because as wonderful as independent, school choice is, at what expense? The Burn Burton model works very well, but there's other schools that are failing, that are surviving only because of extra money above and beyond state. So I think part of the fundamental issue is that if you aggregate and create a larger school base, what resources does that potentially offer from an educational standpoint? And so are we educating our kids as best as we can, and what's the best way to do that? So I think that it's not just, hey, this is, and I've been a proponent of school choice for a very long time, but the model is definitely broken, and it needs to be fixed in some way. And every couple of years we kick the tires, and you're like, I mean, I've lived through this now, I think 3 or 4 times, right, Dean? I mean, where it's definitely at least 3, where it's really, they come up and they challenge it, because it needs to be challenged.
Yeah, I think it's important, though, just to recognize that this moment is, I think, fundamentally different than anything Meredith, you and I have been through in our years on the board. And I was actually talking to some, old board members from before we joined about how many times we've been through this same rigmarole. The thing that feels different to me about this scenario is that I feel like the governor and the Agency of Education, the Secretary of Education, and a few prominent legislators have really staked their political legacies on this reform, and they have to get something done, because the financial crisis, as far as the tax rate's concerned in Vermont, is gotten to the point where it's just not manageable anymore, and the system is going to start disintegrating if they don't fix it. So like the urgency of fixing the funding formula and the way we pay for education is so great that I think that the traditional tactics that we've been able to use to protect the way we operate, I don't think they're going to work the way they have in the past. I don't think they're going to be as effective, because I think there's a lot of momentum behind this reform that hasn't been there in some of these prior attempts to make changes. Everything before was small potatoes. It was, someone made a proposal and it got out of committee, and then it was never the entire system moving in the same direction before. And this, to me, just seeing the momentum behind it, it feels very different. So that doesn't mean that doesn't mean I'm right. That's just my interpretation of the way things are. I think it feels different to me. So I think we just need to be cognizant of that and make sure that we don't make the mistake of thinking that the same thing we did in the past is going to work again because it worked before. It might not work this time. So I think we need to be prepared for alternatives, which I feel confident that we are. I feel confident that we're prepared to handle anything that they throw at us. So that, to me, that makes me feel good. But yeah, I agree with everything you said, Meredith, but I just wanted, this moment feels very different to me.
It does definitely feel different, but it's going to be interesting how this one plays out. I really don't know how this one is going to play out.
Something's going to happen.
Something is going to happen. This
is not going to be, previously what's happened is
we go and
nothing changed because the legislation never made it, never made it out of committee, or it never made it to the Senate, or the Senate, saved us in the 11th hour with some counter proposal.
I'm not feeling that's happening.
I'm not feeling that at all. I'm feeling like I'm staring down a steamroller right now.
Oh yeah.
But I feel confident that we have the right plan.
And I think, Amy, to really specifically kind of respond to your question a little bit differently, when we shift the way that we fund education to a foundation formula model, we no longer build a budget. No, a district doesn't build a budget for the voters to vote on, right? We're given a predetermined weighted allocation based on any district, large district with a large enough grand list, with what their long-term weighted ADM is. And so that fundamentally shifts the way that the district has to operate. And so when we recognize a larger system and a radically different funding formula, we understand. I've worked in states where we've had foundation formulas. It means that you have to, you're forced into operational efficiencies, and a supervisory union just is not. It's too large of a business entity with overlapping costs that are wholly inefficient. And so to maintain an SU and to continue to operate as we are, will ultimately come at a cost to our public schools that we operate, a financial cost, which will directly result in operational costs. And so the idea of developing a new system that is not built on the decades of as we in the state have built on the previous education reform and built on the previous education reform. So we have an incredibly convoluted and complex system. We're suggesting just strip all of that away. We're going to need to write new rules. We're going to need to write new statute. Let's build something that meets the needs of all of our kids within this region. So I think that's where, it isn't simply it's not as simple as let's protect school choice, let's protect access to independent schools. It's that, and we've got to be able to operationalize in a way that doesn't come at the cost of our public schools. And because this whole thing is public education. So I think that's a big part of the complexity right now that's very tough for us in this region to reconcile.
And it has to work for everyone, right? Like we're focusing, I think, correctly on how on making sure that we get a system that works for us. But we have to make sure. By we, I mean the people who are responsible for this reform, the legislature. They have to make sure that whatever they come up with is going to work, statewide. And that also is an extra level of complication, because it may be easy to go into each region piecemeal and say, well, this would work for you, and this would work for you, and this other thing would work for you. But you can't write legislation that way. You can't write legislation arbitrarily. It has to be statewide, and it has to be written in a way that it just works for everyone. So that also adds another layer of complication.
Yeah, no, I think that's one of those critical complications when you have, when you look at the state and how different it is, population area, geographically and stuff, that inevitably, and this happens all the time, when you're trying to write for everyone, pretty much no one wins.
Right.
Because you have to find a center that doesn't actually acknowledge the needs of the different areas, right?
And the center that maybe doesn't even really exist, or maybe is constantly changing. I would say that one thing that I really like about our proposal is that it puts a lot of that decision making in the hands of the new district, or the new region, whatever you want to call it, that new governance structure. It leaves that discretion up to that new body, which sort of removes the need to codify everything in law. And like you just said, try to write for everybody. By putting that responsibility in the hands of the governance structure, you're basically allowing each governance structure to do what it needs to do in its unique set of circumstances in order to accomplish their unique
Right.
goals. There's a flexibility and a freedom in that doesn't exist in any of the other proposals that have been brought forward. But that's going to make it challenging to get those ideas accepted, right? Because it's very different than what we have now. So, but I'm optimistic. Anything else legislative wise? Questions, concerns, comments? Hearing none, we'll move on to agenda items for the next meeting.
Well, it'll be a reorganization meeting. So.
Yeah. Oh, that's right, because we have town meeting and then that's it. There's no more meeting between now and then. God, is it March already?
No, not yet.
I feel like we were just here.
God, no, we're middle of February. Don't do that to me.
We just
What are
did
you
this.
doing?
Oh,
What are
yeah.
you talking
It's
about?
about to be March in 2 weeks. Okay. All right. Yeah. So next meeting.
But I got 2 weeks to get stuff done.
Yeah. And still no public, so no public comment.
I'm surprised no public today, truthfully.
I was expecting a couple people. I got a lot of phone calls this week, so I was expecting people to come in, but
Yeah, but it's different to show up.
yeah, it's true. All right. Motion. Sorry.
Sorry, are we
Anything else?
first on town meeting this year?
I won't know till we get there.
Okay. I can't remember. I always thought we alternate, but I was.
I think we were first last year, which makes me feel like we're probably second this
Okay.
year,
Okay.
which I'm sure is super convenient.
That's okay.
For thou who has to be in 7 places at once.
No, that's okay.
Okay, motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Seconded. Is that how I'm supposed to do it?
All those in favor?
Hi.
All right.
Aye.
Good.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks,
Thank
everybody.
you. Bye bye.
Okay,
Have a
bye.
great night. This is so funny. I can't.